Wow, it sounded like the police for a second there.
Brought back some memories, did it?
Hey, listen, it's been almost 25 years, but you never forget the sound of that loudspeaker going, get out of the horn.
Hair extensions.
All right, so Hair Nation, Dangerous Darren. I got a guest. I have an amazing guest. Jimmy DeAnda is with from
Yeah.
Bullet Boys.
Oh my God. Darren, how long has it been? We've known each other for what, 40 years, maybe?
Yeah, I know. We have. We started it all off together.
Gosh darn it. And look at, we're still as sexy as ever.
Could you believe? Are you sure you can see me on this thing? I don't know if you can.
Hey, listen, you are a man amongst men.
Well, I do remember the last time I saw you was on the ship, on the Monsters of Rock cruise. You were walking one way, I was walking the other, and it was just kind of like, hey, holy crap.
Yeah, I think it was this. It was, you're still alive?
Yeah, exactly. I think those words were used, actually.
Yeah, you said it to me. I said it to you. It was great.
And on that ship, you were playing with, was it Lynch Mob on the ship?
Yeah, I was with George. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk about that here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Well, but
The Larry Moran party, I call it. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to go early days because I believe, so we'll start with the early stuff when the album came out, first Bullet Boys, 88. I think, if memory serves, which it was 88, so I'm not sure if it's going to serve.
Plus,
KNAC was the first to play you guys, weren't we?
the absolute first, and not only that, but you guys did a thing that I don't know if it ever happened again. I'm sure it did, but I want to feel special and say it only happened with us. But you guys played the entire record from top to bottom.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I remember like having little parties, with some friends of mine, and they would say, Jimmy, they're going to play the record today. And I would go to a house somewhere in Pico Rivera or in Montebello and listen to KNAC and people playing, you guys were playing the record. And, it's just for those who weren't there, my heart breaks for you because it was such a glorious time period for not only rock and roll, but KNAC was a beacon of hope for any young rock band that was trying to make a name for themselves. They knew amongst anything else, if they can get on KNAC, anything was possible from that point moving forward. So we thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts, honestly.
Very true. Yeah, it was a great time to be in LA, that's for sure, during that whole era. The thing that was different about you guys, though, and again, I could be wrong, it's almost like you guys just bursted out of nowhere. Wasn't like you guys were playing the Strip and things like that. All of a sudden it's like, and being produced by Ted Templeman on that first album, that was a huge thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and so were you guys playing clubs?
So here's the thing about Bullet Boys that really upsets. I mean, at the time I would tell the story and other bands did not like hearing this, but we had only done about 7 or 8 shows, I believe, and then we got signed. And a lot of people, some people know this. So Bullet Boys, Mick Sueda was in King Cobra,
right?
And they had acquired Lonnie when Johnny Rod had left, and Lonnie had brought in Mark because they were in a band together called St. James. And so they were kind of the last lineup, the last people holding, the bag of King Cobra, and they decided to leave and start something new. So, you had extremely seasoned musicians. I mean, Mark, of course, we all know he'd been in Rat. Lonnie was in Hawk. For God's sake, he was like, one of the guys in LA that I remember seeing going, holy shit, who is that bass player? And then, of course, Mick had, his own thing with King Cobra going on, which was great. Everybody was, it was moving. But the problem was, unfortunately, they had no luck with drummers. And they had a couple of guys and it just didn't work out. So when Mark had called me and said, Jimmy, will you come in and play? And there was, some coercing because I had a band at the time, but I didn't know that joining Bullet Boys would change my life considerably. And so we did a handful of shows. And then the manager, Dave Kaplan, said, you guys, you're ready to be signed, so let's get you guys going. And I remember we did like, it was Capitol, it was Geffen, it was like, a handful of labels, and then Warner's came in and they saw us, and it was Roberta Peterson, who people who don't know is Ted Templeman's sister. She passed away, love you. And she came and saw us and said, well, you're not my cup of tea. She signed Jane's Addiction and Flaming Lips. That was more of her forte. Mm-hmm. So she said, I'm going to get my brother to come see you guys. Now, I don't know about the rest of the guys. I didn't know who her brother was until a white Rolls Royce pulled up to our piss room, rehearsal room. and Templeman, and we got a call saying it's Ted Templeman. He's coming to see you guys, and it was just, imagine the energy that we were all feeling at that point, and we played I want to say 7 or 8 songs. Thank God, because he did this thing where he said, when I've heard enough of a song, I'm going to raise my hand, just stop playing, go to the next song. So you would hear a verse and a chorus, and maybe some of the guitar solo, and then just he was looking down at a pad and pen, writing notes, and he would hold his hand up like that, and we would just stop playing and go, okay, then start playing the next song, and then he would listen and hold his hand up, and we're like, holy shit! I mean, it didn't seem like it was going well. And then after the like the last song, he goes, okay, everybody come down, because we had our own little drum riser in the rehearsal room, and he starts to say, here's why I think you guys should sign to Warner Brothers Records via me. And we're like, are you kidding? Get the contracts. Let's go, baby. So it was like that. Like, I joined the band, and it was maybe within 6 months that we were signing with Warner Brothers.
For all of us at KNAC, we were like, who the hell is this? We'd never heard of anything, and we loved it. I mean, every song on that first album is just amazing.
And I think the thing also, Darren, about that is that I think everybody in the band had something to prove. I think that Mark had, and Lonnie had, and Mick had, for sure. And I was a kid. I was 19 years old. I didn't realize how important that time period was until I looked back after some years and went, wow, that was really special. And that's why this reunion and making it work this time was equally as special for us, because we're just in a better place for the most part. Listen, all bands are fucked up. Everybody's got a thing. I think that we've gotten to a place where we realize, like, you know what, we're all alive still. We all can play the music still. We're having a decent time. We're having fun. We're doing the best we can. So there are moments that we definitely do hug each other and go, I'm so glad that we're doing this. So it's cool.
Right on. Let's go. There was an in-between with BulletBoys compared to from the beginning that we just talked about. And there's been a few people in and out of this band. There's been a little turmoil. I actually counted it up. There's been 30 people actually in and out of this band. I did my homework. But yeah, it was 30 people have been in and out of this band.
All righty then.
The people that are in it now is who we want to see in it. Can you tell us about that little part where people were kind of coming in and out? You left, then I think Mick left, I think then Lonnie left, and then you guys came back.
Well, I can't speak on about the other members that came in. I do know that there was some people that came in that did the job, that, like Jason Hook was in the band for a minute, and he did really well. And Steven Adler came in and he played well. And there was a handful of musicians that came in, and I was honored that they played the music. I know that Lonnie, he has been in and out more, frequently than anybody else. And one of the things that I love, and a lot of people don't know this, but Smooth Up In Ya, the most famous song from BulletBoys, Lonnie had written that song. And so, when Lonnie would come back and play those 16 notes, everything's right in the band. I think that he's for the most part, a lot of people don't know this, but he's the secret weapon. Lonnie Benson is the secret weapon of BulletBoys. And getting back together again, has been it's not that it's difficult as much as it's just trying to learn the new terrain of how things move now. We're older.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to argue. Nobody wants to fight. That's one of the things that I will say I love. And I learned that from Carlos Cavazo. He's like, dude, just that stuff doesn't matter. Get back on stage and everyone will get happy once that happens. And it's true. As soon as, if there's a minor bickering, as soon as we start playing, everyone looks at each other and we're like, fuck, it's just, this is all we really wanted. And there was definitely a moment in where we all kind of looked at each other and said, let's make this the last of this experience. And I really do believe that we're going to, whether it's, fight. I don't want to see you for a minute. We're not going to break up. I don't want to start playing for anybody else. Don't get me wrong. I loved all the bands I play for, and I sit in for certain bands, and that's great. But I really would like to say, I started my journey with BulletBoys, and then we all finish it together as well. That would be nice. I can't predict the future, but I do know that right now we are in the best place we've been in a very long time.
That's great. It's good to hear. And it is good to see you guys back once again. And so you guys have dates that are going to be coming up. Again, the whiskey out here is going to be on Friday. Are you still with anybody else, or is this it? Because you were with Piercy, you played with Steven for a while, you played with George for Lynch Mob and stuff.
Funny is I started playing with George in 2000, and then
Oh,
I had a hiatus for about, I don't know, 7, 8 years, and I started in right with Janie Lane before he passed away, and that was a tough heartbreak. And then we tried briefly just to see what it was like with Bullet Boys, and it didn't work out in
yeah.
2010 or 2011. And then I went back to George, and I'd been with George this entire time up until a few years ago, and and that was a beautiful experience. I love George. He is everything you think he is as a guitar god. He's a fucking freak of nature on guitar. And then getting the call not too long ago, a couple years ago, from Blas Elias, who's a good friend of mine, and he said that he had a prior commitment and he wanted to know if I could fill in with Stephen Piercy. And I said, absolutely. I mean, I called a Blotzer. I got the blessing because I was not going to do the show without talking to Bobby, because I've known Bobby for many, many years, and I was not about to upset any of my friendships. And he said, dude, go play it. Just play what did he say? Just play the drum fill to Wanted Man right. Just drum fill right. It was it was great. Lots of the best. And then, so filling in with those guys is great. I love playing those songs. And I'm sure, when schedules allow, I'll probably fill in with those guys again. But Bullet Boys is my main. It's the flagship. We've all discussed this. Everybody has little side projects. We want to make sure Bullet Boys is the number one thing. And then everything else, other work will come second. So it's seemingly to be working right at the moment.
Perfect. Good. For the future, let's go with for the future of Bullet Boys. Is you guys will do the tour. Has there been any talk of, hey, let's do a new song, just one new song and put that out, or let's do another album or anything like that? Is that talk going?
Well, absolutely. We have a song that it's an older song from back in the day, but we just kind of made it new, if you will. Modern. I don't want to say modern, but it's just more of us today. And that's something that we're working on at the moment. And there's definite tours for next year that people are talking about right now. So it's interesting because I forget that a band like us who hasn't kind of been out there for a long time, and nothing against the bands who are kind of doing it every weekend and have been for years. We're kind of a fresh blood right now. At some point, I'm sure we'll be old and raggedy, and we're like, oh, we had Bullet Boys out last year, we don't want them again. That's possible, but I know that right now we have definitely some tours that are being offered for next year. Ground Run, and of course the song that we have is we're working on it as we speak. And there's a couple of tweaks and stuff, but it's Bullet Boys, and that's the thing. I played it for my wife, and she goes, "Honey, that's Bullet Boys." It just
Great.
sounds like us. There's no way to not sound like the four musicians, and it's great. I think people are gonna like it.
Awesome. I'd love to hear it. Are you following bands today? Do you kind of follow new stuff? Is there anybody out there that you're like, man, you should really watch out for this band or anything like that? Or are you just kind of still doing your own thing?
My son has a band he's put together called Club Ultra. That's absolutely, for me, it's exactly what I wanted to hear in music today, because it's the heavier side, but it's just got really just great parts to it, and his playing is phenomenal. He's a guitar player as well. He's a better guitar player than drummer, I think. I can just barely get along. And again, like the kid Jet I mentioned, Vizon, his band, he's doing great. And Perkins' son, Eden, has a band called the Wendalls, and they're again, all these bands are just fire and brimstone. They're doing it old school. They're just playing music for their lives. It's not like they're got their phone in front of them. They're out there playing, sweating it out, and just breaking things. And it's just great to see young bands do that again, because I miss that in rock and roll.
Yeah, it's been gone a long time.
It sure has, baby.
Yeah.
Hopefully these kids will bring it back for us.
I hope. Fingers crossed on that one. And sobriety, Jimmy, you've been sober for a while now.
For let's see, November 19th this year will be 25 years.
I didn't know it was that long. Congratulations.
Yeah. And listen, I say this I do lives from my Facebook page, and I always tell people, listen, if you're struggling and you're having problems with a substance, there's help out there. You just got to make some phone calls. You got to be persistent about it, and just that first step that I've known is just that you need help. You need some help. So I always tell people, if you have a problem, please reach out. It doesn't have to be where I went to AA and NA. People go to therapy. Some people get it in church. It doesn't matter, but just asking for help is an important thing.
Great way to end it right there. Jimmy, I will see you on Friday at
Friday,
the
baby.
Whiskey A Go-Go. I cannot wait. You got other dates going on. Everybody go bulletboys.com and you can find out if they're coming near you. Hopefully they are. If they're not yet, they will be coming near you. Always good to see you, bud.
Same here, Darren. Thank you for this, brother.
Right on. I will see you Friday.